Our next speaker, I am delighted to introduce our next guest, Mrs. Roya Johnson. Roya is a human rights activist and a former political prisoner in Iran. Roya, thank you so much for joining us. We are looking forward to hearing your remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to join you today in this virtual conference. I would like to thank the organizers for all their great work on the issues of human rights and women's rights in Iran. On this day, 72 years ago, December 10th, 1948, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In the early 90s, an annual 2-week campaign was initiated to end violence against women. Each year, the campaign starts on November 25th and concludes on December 10th. From these historic milestones for the struggle of women's rights and human rights, one can say that women's rights are human rights, and one set of rights cannot be achieved without the other. Over the last 4 decades, the Iranian people, especially women, have fought against the oppressive government of Iran. Despite the brutal crackdown and attack by oppressive forces, the Iranian people come to the streets over and over again, demanding their democratic rights and freedom. Their slogans of death to the dictator, death to Velayat Faqih indicate fear of the Iranian regime has vanished. According to the Iran's constitution, the country is ruled based on the theory of government called the Velayat Faqih, which means an absolute power that is only for non-elected male clerics. This concept is at the core of the complex structure of the Iran's political system, in which immense religious and political authority rests with the Wali Faqih, or the supreme leader, currently Ali Khamenei, and misogyny is the heart of the Velayat Faqih system. That is why women in Iran became the primary victims of the mullahs' suppression, a suppression which has surpassed all conceivable threshold. Women carry the burden of legalized oppression in Iran, and they also face social oppression. In my homeland, the institutionalized violence against women is blessed in the name of religion. Any kind of political dissent challenging the ruling establishment in Iran is met with very harsh punishment. However, female political activists are a particular challenge to the regime. The regime's reaction to independent women, especially Muslim women, showcases the depth of the gender apartheid at the heart of the mullah's dictatorship. As a young student activist and a supporter of MEK, I spent my teenage years in the women's ward of one of Iran's notorious prisons, Adilabad, in the southern city of Shiraz. It was in prison where I saw firsthand how the mullahs shield their tyrannical rule behind wall of suppression. I was arrested at the age of 14. 15 Revolutionary Guards came to my house with machine guns in the middle of the night. My mom was arrested before me. I remember the deep fear in my father's eyes and how he couldn't take his eyes off me. Now, as a mother of 14 years old daughter, I can only imagine what was going through his head as they took me away. As a teenager, I walked into prison cell not knowing what awaits me. I witnessed the most horrific torture. I also witnessed the resistance and defiance of the political prisoners and heroic acts for their cause of freedom and democracy. These are the memories that will stay with me forever. The murderous regime of mullahs must have thought that massacring 30,000 political prisoners in one summer can end Iranian political activists' call for freedom. They were wrong. They were absolutely wrong. The resistance movement in Iran continues to grow. The evidence can be seen in the student uprising of 1999, 2009, and the nation uprising in December 2017, January 2018, November 2019, and January 2020. As we talk about change in Iran, we need to be clear on what we believe change means. As someone who has seen the horrors of this regime, I can tell you, I see hope for a brighter future in Mayam Rajavi's 10-point plan. What makes the struggle of the Iranian people stronger is her unifying message and platform describing a secular republic based on gender equality and an end to all religious or ethnic discrimination. It is an inclusive message which continues to organize the public across the country with a vision of a free Iran. Iran's ongoing uprising carried that message. In 2018, she described the uprising as a nation that wants regime change. And in the street, we heard women, students and labor and union movements shouting, "Down with the dictators, down with the mullahs." In 2019, she called women as the force of change and recognized the growing role of women in leading the rallies and protests across Iran. Mayam Rajavi represents an alternative to this regime based on the following 10 points. 1. The ballot box is the only criterion for legitimacy and the republic based on universal suffrage. 2. Freedom of expression with unconditional access to the internet. 3. Abolition of death penalty. 4. Separation of religion and state. 5. Complete gender equality in political, social, and economic arenas. Committed to equal participation of women in political leadership, and any form of discrimination against women will be abolished. 6. Rule of law and justice. 7. Commitment to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and international covenant and conventions. 8. Recognize private property, private investment, and market economy. 9. Foreign policy based on peaceful coexistence, international and regional peace and cooperation. 10. Non-nuclear Iran. These points are a legitimate platform, and it is why her message resonates across Iran and inspires women to be on the forefront for change there. Thank you so much.
Roya, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. What happened to you at age 14 should have never happened to you, and we were working very hard to make sure this does not happen anymore in our homeland. And to our sisters in Iran, we have not forgotten you, and we will continue fighting for you.